Well, hello and welcome to Activate and Thrive. Really glad that you're joining us here today on Thursday, February 25th, for our weekly Thriving Thursday interview with a beautiful, health-minded individual, a different beautiful soul every week. So we're going to get started, and Mia is going to introduce today's guest. Thank you so much for joining us during your lunch hour, or maybe it's your coffee hour, or maybe it's not live for you right now and you're just catching us from at some other time. Welcome.
Welcome, everyone. Our guest today, we're so excited to have with us Isa Dinerman. Isa worked in international business for several years in New York. So we do have a New York comparison here. Both of us have lived in New York City for almost a decade prior to living in Massachusetts. Anyway, she opened two successful high-end cosmetic boutiques when she moved to Arizona. And she's been a licensed esthetician for years. And in her businesses, she specialized in corrective aesthetics and cosmetic services, seeking time freedom, having had her daughter Scarlett, who's now 10 years ago, right? And seeing the retail business model change, she saw that, even before COVID hit. Isa sold her businesses 5 years ago. She had two locations in Prescott, Arizona and Flagstaff, Arizona. And she now provides aesthetic services to limited clientele. She's also found her passion in anti-aging education and social entrepreneurship. And that's really how our paths collided. We're so blessed. You can tell from her absolutely gorgeous skin that she's an expert in that field. She also teaches aerial yoga and leads international wellness retreats. I can't wait to join her on one of those in Costa Rica, right, Isa? And she's going to be sharing with us today the benefits to our health with the products that we use topically. So welcome, Isa. Both Don and I are thrilled to have you with us. And to start us off, I'm just going to say, when I was a young girl, I didn't take care of my skin. I wasn't really educated to do so. We know better now. And besides the fact that none of us wants wrinkles or to look old, there is more to it even than that, even to just the way that our skin looks, what's happening on the inside. And so, Isa, with your gorgeous skin, this walking advertisement for beauty, what makes you so passionate about skin health?
Thank you, Mia. Thank you, Don. It's so great to be a part of your community here. Thank you. Well, just with the great focus shifting this year onto health, more and more people becoming so aware of taking control of their own health. Our skin is our largest organ. So, of course, we need to, not only do we need to be concerned or just mindful of how it is aging from the outside, but how it's aging and why that reflection is showing up for us of what's happening on the inside. So I love that there's been such a more of a mindful approach to skincare and people really addressing cellular health, because everything that we're seeing on the outside is a reflection of what's happening on the inside. And it wasn't always that way in our field. Even back when I owned my shops, peels were very popular then, and there's still a place for all of that. But I always said, my philosophy always was, there's a time to peel and a time to heal. And I think that more of the shift in the industry is going towards the healing. And when we see that balance in our skin and that glow, usually it's a reflection that the gut is healthy, the cells are happy, there's reduced inflammation in the body. So I'm really happy to see this shift happening in the industry and more people taking notice of a holistic approach.
That's really great. I just wanted to interject quickly that one of our participants today says that their daughter does aerial silks. So that's a kind of cool, that you do aerial yoga. So
I love that, Don.
We have Aya on here who's saying that her daughter Victoria does aerial silks. So
wonderful. That's another way that we can really, look at different ways that, number one, happiness and joy is what radiates and makes and, gives us that glow. But I fell in love with aerial yoga. One of the reasons, Don, is not only is it so fun, it makes you laugh. It really increases endorphin activity, but also inversions. And even if you're doing inversions in yoga or in aerial silks, it is so good for the circulation and just getting that blood flow up to the face and giving us that glow, enhancing that glow. It's like taking the green juice and shaking it upside down, right?
Absolutely.
That's
Oh,
really great.
I want to do that so much. There's not a place nearby that does aerial yoga, but I did buy myself one of those feet up platforms so I
That's
can be
perfect.
inverted, so.
Well, Isa, let me
Perfect.
ask you, based on what you just said about the importance of basically our skin health coming from within. What kinds of things would you say that we need to look out for, when we're thinking about our skin health, as well as being aware of the kind of topical products that we're taking, that we're putting on us?
That's such a great question, Dawn. And I think, so many people see a product and they'll see a plant on the label and figure that it's completely safe or that it is all plant-based, but many are not. So there are apps. There's one that I particularly like. It's a third-party app called Think Dirty, and you can scan the barcode of any of your
Wait a
personal
minute, could
care
you say
products.
that? What's that thing called again?
Think Dirty.
Think Dirty.
Think
Okay.
Dirty. Yeah.
And we're sure it's all
So it's
kosher, huh?
catchy.
Okay.
It's catchy, but you can scan the barcode, and surprisingly, many of the items that you might be using, you might think are really clean meaning they are rated on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 to 3 being completely non-toxic, green zone, and then anything above that, 10 being containing carcinogens or parabens and things that can be harmful to our health. So I encourage people to really get in their personal care products, get in the bathroom, look at what you're putting on, because our skin, as we said earlier, it's our largest organ. It is much more porous. Product does absorb into the skin, and our scalp even, our scalp absorbs 4 times faster than the skin on our body. So we really want to be mindful of skin and hair care. And when you look for buzzwords, Don, of what you do not want, we don't want parabens, we don't want sulfates, we don't want artificial fragrances even, because those oftentimes are chemical based. And we want to be really mindful of decreasing our toxic burden instead of adding to it.
And so does this Think Dirty app show you whether it has those
It
things
does.
in it?
Yes, it does. And
Yeah.
so, you can, just be an informed consumer. You may be in love with something and choose to continue to use it, but at least, I know for me, I had been using a hair care line for years that is very much known in the industry as being plant-based. And it was much higher, rating like an 8 and a 9 on that Think Dirty app once I looked into it. And then now I'm completely switched over to something that I know is very clean and my whole family can use it. And I know that there's just not, we're all being so mindful of what we're eating and putting in our bodies and how we're taking care of ourselves. We don't want to, every day burden with product.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess
Yeah.
people, being an app, people can just go to the App Store or to Google Play and
Yes.
enter Think Dirty, and then
Think
be
Dirty. It's
more
free.
informed
Yes.
about what we want to be very aware that it's not just what we take in, right? It's what we put on ourselves also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's what we put on. I used to have, clients coming in that, were like, I have, rosacea, or not to mention any specific conditions, but, I have this or I have that. And really, when we really peeled back the layers and looked at not only what they are ingesting and certain perhaps triggers in their diet, but also what they were putting on that they thought was helpful was actually adding to the situation.
Yes.
Isa, can you speak to how that affects us, not only, topically, but what specifically is going on inside the body and inside the dermis? Can you,
oh, sure. Can I grab my glasses here? Can I pull up a slide? Would that
sure,
be all right?
absolutely. Let me
All
give
right.
you,
It's
you've
the
got
dermis
sharing
is,
capability.
okay, we'll screen share here. I'll just show you quickly a something that makes this much more relatable, I believe, is if we think of an apple. If you all can see this slide here with this apple on it at the top, this is, if you picture that green apple being a healthy cell, and our skin is made up of cells. We are a cellular structure. And then that second portion showing what happens when oxidative stress or environmental exposures, toxins, diet, poor quality of water, different things start to affect the cell. That's what can start to happen. And then that third picture shows what can happen when oxidative stress has in fact damaged a cell. So you can see the cells translated or related at the bottom there in that photo. But free radical damage, many of us have heard that term before. It's all around us. We can't avoid it, but many of us do take precautions, perhaps with wearing hats when we're outside, wearing different sun protectants. But this is what happens to our cells as we age. And I remember, when I had my skincare shops, when a new vitamin C would come out, we would cut the apple in half and we would put the C on one side of the apple and leave the other apple out. And we would watch how much faster the side without the antioxidant on it started to brown. But what's cool is that now we know that this science has been taken to a whole other level. And it's not just about putting a protective antioxidant on top of the skin, but we can actually help our body create more antioxidants from the inside out. This is what's great.
Yes.
So we're talking about NRF2 activation. I can explain a little bit more about that, Mia, if you want to.
Yes, please do.
Yes, I mean, NRF2, that's a unusual term. Well, what does that mean?
NRF2, so this is opening a pathway in our body, activating a pathway that helps our body create its own antioxidants versus applying them topically or trying to take them. So when we activate this pathway, it's like turning on the highest level on the dimmer switch and really opening up that pathway in the body, allowing your body to create these antioxidants again, versus trying to supplement with them or apply them topically and just hope that they'll work.
Right. So rather than like a one and done kind of thing, like throwing a Dixie cup of water on a house fire,
Exactly.
you've got that fire hose from inside, just keeping everything doing what it want it to do, what it did naturally when we were young.
Exactly. It's interesting you say that. Oh, sorry, Don. Go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
It's interesting, Mia, you say that one and done, because that is exactly what supplementation does. It's 1-to-1. We're fighting one free radical per antioxidant. But when we're activating this pathway, we are actually, by creating them, it is 1,000,000 to 1 per second. So for sure, it's like turning on that fire hose in there. So your body's doing it all the time. And that's what gives us that healthy glow. It's what reduces inflammation. And inflammation in the skin can manifest not only in conditions like acne or rosacea or wrinkling or hyperpigmentation. These are so many issues that we think are just common, but they all have that same root cause of inflammation, and activating this pathway reduces that. In fact, 40% in 30 days. So it's pretty incredible.
That's a definitely more effective way. It's like, as you said, our skin's our largest organ. It's that first barrier, and it's the first thing that gets hit. And it's also what I think really reveals what's going on inside, because when somebody's skin does not look good, there's another reason behind that.
Yes,
now,
exactly.
Do you have another slide to share, or should
No, I'll come back with all of you if that's all right.
Yes, let me
see you right now.
we'll end the screen share here. So I would assume then it sounds like even if one is getting the body this kind of more activated approach to really helping the cells do what they're made to do, but you still use skin products that aren't really clean, or hair products, that you're kind of fighting against that, probably.
Exactly. Can you stop the screen share, Dawn, so I can see your beautiful
we did.
I thought I did. Are you delayed?
For us, it is stopped.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'll just keep talking.
Yes.
We see you.
Okay.
Yeah, the view
perfect.
to us and to our viewers is now both of us only.
Maybe it's taking a little time to get to you, but I
perfect.
did.
Okay, so I just wanted to add on too, that last slide shows the follicle. Obviously we all know that follicle is at the top layer of the epidermis, right? That's our outermost layer of skin. And so many men who shave every day, have some oftentimes folliculitis, which is inflammation of the hair follicle. And so when we are, again, activating this pathway internally, we will find, many men have found, we even have a shaving study that shows less inflammation, less bumps, all of that. We know that shaving is great, because if you look at a man's face, usually from here down, it's usually quite smooth. And, I love the fact too that often
Should I
because
bring
of
my
the
face closer so people can see mine?
Did you
show
shave?
it. But oftentimes, men have much tighter muscles in here because they're moving their face as they're shaving, daily. And so really, I love to say to people, there are so many things that we can be doing for ourselves. I know that a dear friend of both of ours has recently interviewed someone who does face yoga. And
I
so
was just
really
gonna-
activating these muscles in the skin. And, if you have a massage therapist that you love, ask them about facial massage, because really working on that muscle is wonderful, as well as detoxifying.
Well, that's great. Well, I can say that I've been aware of the cleanliness of my shaving products, which I never in the past was, but in the past few years, really, I've become much more aware, and I actually use a very clean cleanser to actually shave as shaving cream instead of the typical shaving creams that you can get at the drugstores and pharmacies, and then also
Yes.
a kind of perfecting lotion afterwards. It also, I mean, I've checked it out on this Think Dirty app. It's also very clean. And finally, I finished with a beautiful kind of anti-aging cream that again is very clean, and I feel like it's really been doing great things for my skin. Scraping a blade across a face, even if you have a manly face like I do, just kidding, can is doesn't feel that great. And so to have
Oh,
these really clean products that we know are doing good things coming from the outside in is making a difference for me. So I love the idea of the clean aspect
I
of it.
love that, Don. And how wonderful is it to simplify your system so that you are, not only is this a system that you and Mia can share, but that it is not only affordable, of course, but multi-purpose. So you're using it for shaving. I love that the products that we're talking about are not only very affordable for what they do and for how long they last, but that they're, in many other lines, they would be several different products sold separately. And that is a marketing thing, right? Here we
Right.
have a couple that are combined into a light lotion and a serum. But I know that when I have my skincare shops, products are, it's very marketing driven. And there's a time for that. And there's also a point where it is just, let's get back to the basics, right?
Yes.
And
Right. And it's also
yes,
going to be geared towards a certain clientele when it's hundreds of dollars, which a lot of these are, right?
right.
And when you can simplify your system and it's a good price point, and it's also doing what you were speaking about, that NRF2 activation, which is turning on your body's ability to make its own antioxidants so it's much more effective the way it's working. And you notice the difference. I mean, I notice a difference in my skin, and of course, yours is exquisite. And the
Oh,
fact that you've
thank
worked
you.
with the high end as well as something that's more affordable for perhaps the masses, says a
Yes,
lot.
yes,
You
it
know,
is,
we,
Mia. And go
no,
ahead,
go
Don.
ahead, please.
I wanted to touch Mia on, a lot of products, a lot of women read about hyaluronic acid, and we all know that that is what makes a baby's skin look so plump and glowy, right? And it decreases dramatically as we age. But to activate this pathway, once again, simply having your body not only create antioxidants, but also creating its own hyaluronic store, which is incredible. So that's where you get that plumping also.
You know, and we've
Plumping is
talked,
good because we're
Plumping
Asian.
is good. We like to be
We-
plump.
Good. We want it in our face.
We love that about babies, plump babies.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about the skin. We did kind of plug this particular interview as including the hair, and we're actually kind of reaching the point. We like to respect people's time for these interviews, but very quickly, would you say that people maybe think less about like what's going into their hair? Like, oh gosh, my skin is right here, but I'll use whatever shampoo or whatever. I don't know if you found that people are less aware that you really want to be careful about the shampoos and conditioners you use as well for the same reason.
Yes, I agree, Don. Absolutely. You know, as we said earlier, our scalp is 4 times more absorbing of product of chemicals than our skin on our body is, or our face. So absolutely, we want to be mindful of that, and use product that is clean, use product that can just help to activate the follicles so that it can do, a lot of people experience more growth, right? When they're reducing that toxic burden. It all comes down to just reducing toxic burden and with clean products. And so I would encourage everyone, download that free app and, check out what you are using. And if you wanted information on specifically what we're using, I'm always happy to hop into your chat afterwards and help you all with answering questions for people.
Well,
Thank
Isa,
you.
thank
And
you. Yeah, go
also,
ahead.
I wanted to just mention one other thing really quick, because I know people, sometimes think retinol is a good thing. Can you just talk about that really, really briefly before we finish
Sure.
up?
Yes. So, it is a great thing to exfoliate and to increase cell turnover, because that does decrease as we age, right? So we notice we need to exfoliate. But I will say that there is overuse, I believe, of retinol, and it can cause a bloating in the skin. So if any of your viewers have ever used a retinol, they'll say, wow, I looked amazing for the first 3 weeks. And then they start to look dry and crepey, and it just isn't giving them that same feel and that same glow. But many people get stuck. Many women get stuck, I believe, especially in that cycle of just, well, I'll get a stronger strength and more is better, right? But what you're doing is just perpetuating this cycle of inflammation instead of allowing the skin once again to heal. And we had an interesting study that I love looking at and referring people to that shows NRF2 activation next to retinol and the difference after 7 days, and how the cells look very uniform and the epidermis is thickened by activating the NRF2 pathway. And then with the retinol, the cells look a little bit bloated and kind of, I like to call it confused, like they're just kind of irregular. And sometimes people do mistake bloating for less wrinkling, but there's a difference. And
There's
I think many
chaos
of you
going on underneath, which will add up
yes,
over time.
there's a
Have
difference,
cumulative
right?
effect.
Well, that's a really important aspect that just came up. So we're really grateful that you've joined us today for our what's for
Great.
us on the East Coast, our lunchtime interview. And friends who are watching, if you want to know more about how we can really, take steps to be putting onto our skin and into our hair, which is coming into our system that way, clean answers. We'd be happy to connect with you and share with you more about how you can really get engaged in this kind of activation concept that we've been talking about on this interview. So please feel free to message us or reach out, and we can take this further with you. Meanwhile, Isa Dinerman, thank you so much for joining us all the way there from Arizona. It's been such a pleasure and joy to have your beautiful self with us today.
You.
Thank you,
Such a
Isa.
pleasure.
We've loved this. Thank you so
Anytime,
much.
I appreciate it. Thank
Have
you.
a beautiful rest of your day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank
Isa.
you.
Bye-bye.